Welcome to Entrepreneur State of Mind. I'm your host, Dr. Dale Caldwell, and today we have someone who is a good friend, someone I've known for a long time, Nichelle Santos. Nichelle, how are you doing? Good morning.
Good to see you, Dr.
Yes.
Caldwell. Thanks for having me as a guest today.
Well, call me Dale as always. We're informal on this show, so
Yes.
we have a good. So Nichelle has been involved with all sorts of incredible entrepreneurial endeavors, but the latest is the founder and CEO of CannaCoverage Insurance Services, and so first, what is that? But then I want to get into your background. I really want to find out, you know, how where you grew up and how'd you get into this entrepreneurial world.
Yeah.
So what is CannaCoverage doing?
Yes, that's a fantastic question. We're really excited about the emerging market of the cannabis industry. And CannaCoverage is a risk management and insurance services consulting agency. We're national. We're in about 15 states where adult recreational use is legal, as well as medical marijuana is legal. We are here to increase the resilience and the sustainability of the entire industry by bringing strong risk mitigation practices to protect the risks that are inherent to the cannabis industry.
Wonderful. Well, and we're going to explore that a little more, but where'd you grow up, and where'd you go to school, and when did you get this entrepreneurial mindset that you've had for a long time, ever since I've known you?
Yes, I think I was born with the entrepreneurial mindset. My mother was very much an entrepreneur.
Oh, really?
And I grew up, I'm originally from East Orange, New Jersey, grew up in Marlborough Township. Okay. My parents unfortunately passed away when I was a teen, so just having that drive, that fever to find problems and bring solutions.
Right.
So I was a science major. I graduated from Newark Science High.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And was an environmental health and safety major at Rutgers University.
Okay.
And
New Brunswick?
New Brunswick.
Okay.
Yes, Cook College.
All right.
And my first job out of Rutgers was with Continental Insurance, doing risk management, loss control, performing physical inspections of their clients to identify risk, any fire safety issues, workers safety issues, exposure to hazardous chemicals. And I really enjoyed the occupational health and safety aspect, so I became a safety engineer and worked for a variety of petrochemical companies, pharmaceutical in the state of New Jersey. Wow. So practicing process safety management. So it was there I learned, the alphabet soup of all regulations from OSHA, Occupational Safety Health Administration, the DEP, Department of Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. So learning all those standards and regulations, applying it to the industry to protect the community in which those businesses exist, as well as the employees who work there.
Interesting.
So now I see the cannabis industry emerging, and it really requires the same standards, regulations. And here in the state of New Jersey, the CRC is doing a pretty good job of standing up that framework, and now we need to implement regulations and standards to this highly regulated industry.
So the CRC is a Cannabis Regulation Commission, for those
That's
that don't know. And so, so it really makes sense. And again, I didn't know all this about your background, why insurance is so important to you. You really see it from a lot of different angles.
Absolutely.
I have to share that this morning, I teared up a little bit because my daughter, Ashley, who's 17, before coming down here, I just dropped her off at Rutgers Orientation, New Brunswick. So she's going to be at Rutgers.
Yes.
Today's kind of her first day as a college student.
Yes.
So, and so it's happy and sad, a little sad. So it's but good. So it's good to hear.
Next chapter.
Good to hear Rutgers students do so well.
Yes,
so,
absolutely. Great institution.
Now you said your mom. What kind of business did your mom have?
My mom was also an entrepreneur. She was an art dealer.
Oh, really?
She was in real estate.
Oh, really? Wow.
She had worked for the airline, so we got to travel extensively across the country and not necessarily abroad, but to the islands, local islands. So that was great growing up as a kid, having access to traveling. But yes, she was also a committee woman for the township of Marlboro. Okay. So politics is in.
I see why that's in your blood too, the politics and really kind of understanding and challenging. And so, no, it makes a lot of sense, your background. And that's why I always like to hear the origin stories. And so the cannabis industry, and so, what was your first foray? What's, other than kind of the obvious insurance expertise you have, what is it about cannabis that really has caught your interest?
Yeah, I'm really excited about the emerging market and wanted to find a way to be a part of it. So do I apply for a license and open a dispensary or cultivation for growing cannabis? And I said, why not just show up as your best self, bring your expertise to the industry? And this is what I tell people when they ask, how do I get involved? Just show up as who you are. When there was the gold rush, it wasn't predominantly the people who ran out for the gold rush who made the most money. It was the people who made the denim, the overalls. I think it was Levi, right? And the railroad industry really flourished based on the emerging market of the gold rush. Yeah. So the same is required now. It requires all experts from a variety of industries. So attorneys, accountants, laboratories, transportation, janitorial services, paperwork, just everything.
It's a transformative industry for a lot of, one of the things, so I do another show called Family Business World, and we talk to a lot of family businesses, and many of them around for over a century. I know there's one in Newark, 160 years old, that makes the metal around a paintbrush. And they've been able to last for 160 years. And so the idea of going into an industry like cannabis, we often think we got to do everything. We got to be supplier and distributor and all this stuff. But instead, it's the people that are really focused, real deep on the one thing. And then insurance is your thing. And really focused can be very, very successful and really help a lot of businesses as they go through that process. So let's go back. You gave in the introduction a little opening, but for those that I like to keep it simple for me and the audience, and so that protection coverage. What are some of the real risks? So I started a dispensary. What are some of my risks in doing that business?
Yeah, although New Jersey is a young market, we can look at the trends from out west, out in Colorado, California, Oregon, and see the claims that are occurring. With dispensaries, some of the issues we see and claims that are being filed is employee theft. Either internal or a third party outside. We've seen smash and grabs occur in Oakland, California. We've seen people get hurt, sometimes killed. That bad day can put you out of business and close your business doors for good. We also have product liability issues. Ingredients in whether it's an edible, a flower, a topical. We've seen products mislabeled. So I go to the dispensary to buy CBD. Maybe it's an edible, and it's mislabeled, and it's actually THC.
Oh wow!
And now, unfortunately, folks have had cardiovascular reactions, pulmonary reactions, some of which can be fatal. So consumer protection is top priority, but as well as employees. So security is a big issue. Product labeling is very big. So that's why you really have to have great risk management strategies. So what we do is we come in and we do a risk assessment, whether it's cultivation, dispensary, a manufacturer, distribution, etc. We do that risk assessment to really illuminate any risks that we see that require attention. We also evaluate all their standard operating procedures, see what the gaps are, and then discover how we can mitigate those risks, whether it's a physical corrective action or documentation with training of employees, which is really important.
But there is really so much that people don't even think about. So you're going to the business, say, I'm going to sell my stuff, I'm going to make a lot of money, and so on. And so you certainly don't bring bad news. You really kind of help to save them.
Yeah, it's very proactive.
Yeah, very
like
proactive.
A wellness program and your health insurance. How do you protect the health and safety of the public, but also how do you protect the health and safety, the viability of your business? And you do that with strong risk management strategies. And then the third part is insurance, transferring that risk, so that when a claim does occur, there's a higher probability that that claim will be paid, and you can recover financially. That bad day didn't put you out of business.
It doesn't put you out of business, doesn't slow you down, doesn't just impact your business at all. And so as you look at this industry, and you look across the country, you look to realize what's going on in Colorado and other places. What are some of the things that we need to do in New Jersey to anticipate some of these challenges?
Well, right now, the CRC, the Cannabis Regulatory Commission, requires as a minimum standard to have general liability, which protects from slips and falls within the facility and on the grounds. But what's also needed is an additional layer with property insurance, product liability, workers' compensation. So that's commercial business insurance, and the cannabis industry is no different than any other industry. It requires all commercial insurance. So, at CannaCoverage, we provide education first, because we have all levels of business acumen coming to the cannabis industry, and many of them have never purchased commercial business insurance before. So we have to first educate our clients, and then add those layers of protection.
So you're consultants really, as well as insurance agents, to really help people. And you also do, and we can talk a little more after the break, you do a lot of other business stuff. I mean, you really are supporting businesses too, and obviously we work with a lot of small businesses. They don't really understand, how one or two things could really destroy their business.
Absolutely.
Destroy their business. I was listening on the radio too. Now I think the president had signed into legislation now going after the PPP fraud.
Yes.
They have 10 years to go after PPP fraud, and there's so many folks that do something today and think they can get shortcuts later.
Yes.
And not protecting yourself with insurance is something that has to be essential to everyone.
Right. So you pay a little bit now, or you pay much more later.
Exactly.
So how to be proactive.
And make investments. We're going to take a break in a short while, but sounds like you're having fun doing this. Sounds like you're really enjoying being in this new industry and being a leader in this industry.
Absolutely. And it's forecasted that the cannabis industry sales will be $72 billion by the year 2030 on a national level.
Wow. So this, if done right, this could be a real transformative business in the industry.
It is.
So, all right, we're going to take a short commercial break, and we'll be back with Entrepreneur State of Mind and Nichelle Santos.
We're Dr. Mark and Liz from Marriage Matters, a show that inspires, instills hope, and empowers couples to weather the stresses of married life.
Join us each week to hear how couples, real couples like you, have overcome challenges that were hurting their marriages, as well as getting expert advice on ways to nurture a happy and healthy relationship.
Tune in Fridays at 4:30 p.m. and Thursdays at 9 a.m. on RVN TV.
The new Kentucky Fried Chicken Sandwich with brioche buns, mayo, pickles, and a quarter-pound filet as far as the eye can see. Get comfy, it's gonna be a while. This thing's huge. Get the new Kentucky Fried Chicken Sandwich for just $3.99. It's finger-licking good.
Have you heard? Join me, Heather Darling, weekly for a different spin on politics, business, law, and other key issues you will not want to miss right here on RVN TV.
Welcome back to Entrepreneur State of Mind, here with Nichelle Santos, and we're having a very educational and really interesting discussion about cannabis, about the insurance aspects and some of the risks about cannabis. And so yes, you really are taking this to the next level. You're really talking about a TV network and other things. What are some of your other plans going forward to really make people aware about this incredible $73 billion potential industry?
Yeah, by 2030, and
wow,
it's really important that we provide education and awareness
yes,
to the public.
Yeah.
People want to know what all the noise is about cannabis, why it's been such an issue. Over 70% of the public agrees that cannabis and marijuana should be legal.
Right.
So we're all waiting for the Safe Banking Act to be passed, the Claims Act to be passed, to provide a safe way for businesses to thrive. But people need to know about all the other applications of not just cannabis, also with hemp, because hemp was also banned back in the 1920s and made legal in 2018. So hemp is being grown across the country, and there's so many applications of how hemp can be used, and that's where CBD is derived from, which means it only contains 0.3% THC compared to the cannabis plant itself.
So for those that don't know, so hemp, cannabis, what's the difference? What we hear about that, and you know, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, the major difference is just the content of the THC, with hemp containing 0.3% THC. So that edible derived from hemp is much lower in that THC component that gets people high. Doesn't really contain that in CBD. So hemp has so many uses, whether it's medicinal or in construction. They're using it in concrete to fight climate change.
Really? Oh, interesting.
They're using it as upholstery in automobiles. BMW has a big marketing push on using hemp as upholstery, is also across the dashboard. You know, it's such a resilient, fire-resistant, natural fiber. It's also it's always been used in the clothing industry, and the military defense industry. So it has numerous hundreds of thousands of applications, and it really requires a lot more research and development. And then we also know that cannabis is a medicine. There's many illnesses and diseases that it's effective in.
The medicinal, benefits of cannabis, really, we did our Cannapreneur conference at Fairleigh Dickinson University, and just talking to folks, and the testimony, the legitimate testimony of the medicinal benefits are incredible. And years ago, I was in South Africa in the 80s, way back when, and I had never even heard of hemp, and because we didn't have it in the U.S. And in South Africa, I was dealing with these apparel folks, and they were talking about hemp, and they explained why it was banned. And so it was banned really for business reasons, not for because people were, who had influence were. And so we need to begin to, and it's our political discussion, we need to just begin to challenge the system. We challenge, one of the things that I often say is, why is it that that things like things that are addictive made by pharmaceuticals are legal, opioids, and things born in God's earth are illegal.
That's right.
And these things just don't make any sense. And so, and it really hit me back then that because we don't think that happens. We think everything is done on the up and up. And so, but the one thing I did learn from apparel, and I don't know if, and I know you have a great background in apparel, is nylon. And they were telling me that nylon came from a fabric from New York and London. So that's how it came the name nylon, and I never knew that before, and so I've always remembered that. And so So as we think about this industry and we think about cannabis and hemp and insurance, you do things for other businesses as well. I mean, you really are a full service provider for small businesses, which is really where my focus is.
Yes.
So talk about some of the other things you can do for businesses who may want to avail themselves of your services.
Yes, through Legacy's Future, our other consulting firm, we also provide business development strategies. In addition to traditional and commercial business insurance.
Right.
So that's also available for small, mid-size, and large businesses. We also work with the public sector, providing medical benefits, health benefits, all the employee benefits to the public entities, school boards, municipalities, counties. So we have a full portfolio of insurance services and also extend to life insurance. So how do you mitigate the risks of our own lives? We will all eventually meet our demise, and we want to make sure that our loved ones are protected financially as well.
Absolutely. And so if anybody wants any kind of insurance coverage, I mean, really, what's your website? How do they get in touch with you? How, you know?
Yeah, just contact us www.CannaCoverage.net. CannaCoverage.net, N-E-T.
Wonderful, wonderful, and that's important. So really, because I really want people to know you've done so much more. So if you have a small business, and we have a lot of small business people watching, you know, you're looking for any kind of insurance, or you just have questions.
Yes.
You know, because this is all new, and this is an innovative group. I mean, you really are an innovative group. You're entrepreneurial. You have the entrepreneurial mindset. You're always looking to, that's what I admire about you. You're always looking for new opportunities to serve and support, you know, individuals and small businesses.
Yes.
So as you're growing this, what's next? What's next down the road? What do you anticipate are some of the upcoming things in the business world?
Well, we kind of touched upon it with Cannabis TV, building out a cannabis network of exciting shows here at RVN TV, starting with the CannaLution, because the CannaLution will be televised, so we can capture the energy of the emerging market, the politics, the legislation, the science, the medicine, the innovation, the arts, culture, and the entertainment, all for the love of the plant.
Right.
So stay tuned for the CannaLution, and we look forward to bringing that to the audience.
Well, and a lot of people, I've learned, a lot of people don't really know how big a community there is.
Yes.
For cannabis. It's not just people who, you know, the potheads that everybody thinks about that are overly mellow. No, it's, I mean, as you said, there's music, there's entertainment, there's politics, there's fashion, there's sports, and those kinds of things. And it really is just a different world, and an exciting world, actually.
Absolutely. We see former athletes, entertainers getting into or are in the cannabis industry. We can refer to Snoop Dogg. Everyone knows him and the success of the show he had with Martha Stewart, and the fun that happens, but also the information, the education, and food can be infused with cannabis or with hemp, and there's a lot of nutritional value and medicinal value. Entertainers are coming out with their own strain of cannabis. You know, Wiz Khalifa, Snoop, Jay-Z, the exhibit. You know, Redman is in the business from the Wu-Tang, and so the list goes on and on. And then there's NFTs that are happening in the cannabis industry. Again, the medicine, the science, but you know, we see what's happening with legislation and how in the state of New Jersey, marijuana and cannabis have been decriminalized. Once Governor Murphy and the constituents, the people, voted for cannabis to be legalized, they quickly moved to decriminalize in New Jersey, and then stand up the Cannabis Regulatory Commission, bring in the commissioners, establish the framework for the regulations here in New Jersey, and then we see the same thing happening in New York, and the framework for the legalized regulations being stood up with social equity being first and foremost,
Right.
to give those who have been impacted by the war on drugs, to give them an opportunity to enter the cannabis industry and have legal, legitimate businesses.
And to thrive. And so,
Yes.
you know, even FDU, you know, we're in the process of developing a cannabis curriculum.
Yes.
So it's a brave new world and a lot of exciting things. And so I just like to thank Nichelle Santos for coming. Nichelle, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dale.
I mean, you always have a wealth of information. So thank you for watching Entrepreneur State of Mind. Cannabis is here to stay. Learn as much as you can. Give them a call. And we will see you next week. Take care.